Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 219, Saying Yes to Magic with psychic and spiritual coach, Allyson Scammell. Hello, hello, hello. Happy spring, everybody. I'm loving this new seasonal change, and I was just sharing with my friend Anya Morgan-Bauer. She is an Irish woman who lives in Austria. She's also a colleague and a really good friend of mine. And I was sharing with her, I said, the older we get, the faster time goes. How is it that we are already in almost to Easter in 2023? And she, in her lovely Irish accent, says, my mom used to say that life is like a toilet roll, and the closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And I would just died laughing at that. First of all, they call it toilet roll, not roll of toilet paper, and mom, and the whole thing. It's so true, though, right? Remember college? We thought 4 years in college was oh my God, the longest thing ever. Or waiting to get your driver's license, or waiting till you turned 18, or, it felt like it was such a slog, it took forever. And now we're literally almost a quarter away through 2023. How does that happen? I don't know. It's all perspective, right? Well, I'm really excited about today's episode because I have a very special guest on. We had a lovely conversation. Her name is Allyson Scammell. She's a psychic and a spiritual coach. And I actually met her on my retreat that I did this past fall to Morocco. And we discussed saying yes to magic, saying yes to your life, saying yes to just letting these magical moments of life reveal themselves to you, and being open to all the different possibilities that are yet to happen in your life. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. She shares a little bit about her story and how she became into this work, what we experienced together on our retreat to Morocco. And I just want to leave you with this before we get into the episode, is that we're being guided by our own intuition, our own inner knowing, whether you believe in the spiritual realm or anything outside of you. Regardless of that, we are being guided by our own best knowing. And a lot of us who overdrink disengage from that knowing because we numb our feelings and we numb out our thoughts, right? And so we don't give ourselves a chance to listen to what we really want and what would be good for us. And so throughout this episode, I want you to keep that in mind. When we overdrink, we miss these opportunities to hear and to say yes to some magical things. And if you want my help to stop overdrinking and learn how to tap into your inner knowing to what is best for you, because you're the best coach you could ever have, but learning how to do that for yourself and saying yes to yourself and following through for yourself, is something that we need to learn how. We're not taught how to do that, especially as women. I am a really good coach to help you do that, especially when you want to cut back on your alcohol consumption. So to get a little taste of me and what it would be like to work with me, the good news is that Wine Free Workweek is coming the week of April 3rd. And the link to sign up for Wine Free Workweek, which is by far, hands down, the most popular and fun free challenge that I do a couple times a year. It's just amazing. We've got such great feedback. So many people, take a break for 4 days. Basically, you take a pledge to go 4 days during the work week, alcohol free. And you get support by me every day in Zoom in a live call where I answer your questions and coach you and support you. We also have a private Facebook community if you want to be a part of the community. And every day during that challenge, I email you a prompt, something to do to look at your relationship with alcohol. And you get to be supported for those 4 days. And it's really fun. We have amazing prizes every day and then a grand prize at the end. And it's absolutely free. So if you want to work with me, before maybe you join my Alive AF program or some other capacity, I highly recommend you take the leap and come join me in Wine Free Workweek. It's super fun. People come back for repeat challenges. They learn something new, take away a different nugget, and we have a lot of fun together. So the link to sign up for the Wine Free Workweek challenge is in the show notes. And that's it. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Well, hi, Angela.
Hi, how are you?
I am so good. We're having a cool conversation.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I am
I think
too.
our listeners will really enjoy it too.
I do too. So we're having sort of a cross talk.
Mhm.
So we're going to be on each other's podcasts, and so there's no host, there's no guest. It's just a dialogue. And Angela and I were lucky enough to meet in Morocco, of all places.
So fun. I was like instant connection.
Instant.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Why don't you, for my listeners, kind of give yourself an intro and then I'll go after you go.
Perfect. This is very unscripted, which I love.
Yes,
I
yeah.
tend to be a bit on the scripted side, like too much so sometimes. This is very good for me to learn how to just go with the flow, Allyson.
Yes.
So, my name's Allyson Scammell. I am an intuitive business coach and spiritual mentor, and I help soul guided leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs to really amplify their spiritual gifts, release those energy blocks that tether them down so they can earn more, serve more, and grow spiritually along the way. It's my
Mhm.
little tagline.
Love it.
Yay!
So, I'm Angela Mascenik, and I'm a coach for women that helps them stop over drinking. So I'm in the process of changing a lot of things up in my business right now, but I was somebody who overdrank for a long time, for 20 plus years. And through life coaching, I found what the real reasons I was drinking was. It wasn't my boss or my husband or my kids, it turns out. It was my own internal dialogue and emotions and processes that I didn't really understand. And life coaching helped me understand that more and understand myself, learn how to process my feelings, learn how to manage my mind. And it was so compelling that I became a life coach. And now I'm going on 5 years in business. I've coached thousands of women to stop over drinking. I have this amazing podcast, Stop Over Drinking and Start Living. And I've developed multiple programs for women to help them do the same thing.
I love your mission. I love it so much. I used to be an over drinker.
Mm.
And, I was posted in Iraq. I don't talk about this much. And when I was in Iraq, I was there as a humanitarian worker working for USAID, and we would get mortar and rocket attacks every night. And let me tell you, this was the early days of the war. As
Mhm.
time went on, they started training civilians for these really, combat environments. But in those days, we literally got an airline ticket and a pat on the back. No
Wow.
training, and it was terrifying. It was just terrifying. So long
Mhm.
story short, I got home and I was PTSDing so bad, and there was nothing. Again, in time, they realized that civilians need support when they come back if they have PTSD or whatever. But so what did I do? I had no resources. This was well before I found coaching or
Mhm.
anything like that. Back then therapy had a bad rep, and you always worried about your security clearance because they changed this law. But back then, if you went to a therapist, it could affect whether or not you could maintain your security clearance. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
So what
Wow.
did I do, Angela?
Probably drank.
I drank.
Yeah. Right. Like that's the
Right?
only tool you probably could think of at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And so what happened? Like, how did you stop over drinking?
Well, so then to get back to kind of this is nice how you're sharing your story and I'm sharing my story. I was really kind of rock bottomy. And in 2009, I had a near death experience.
Mm.
And it was a real spiritual breakthrough. And when I came back from that experience, I had all these spiritual gifts and channeling abilities and psychic abilities. And I understood energy and I could see into people's energy auras in ways that I didn't even have vocabulary for that stuff before it happened, let alone know about it. And I
Okay, so
immediately,
I need to know this near death experience.
yes, I would love to share the story, Angela. It's a pretty big one, and I tell it in a 3-part series on my podcast, Soul Guide Radio. So let's leave a link in the show notes so that anyone who's interested in hearing the epic journey that it is can tune into it.
Wow. How long ago was that?
2009.
Wow.
About exactly this time. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Angela.
What?
Tomorrow is the anniversary. 10 February 2009. I didn't even realize that. And it's now 9 February as we're recording this.
Wow. That's
So I,
wild.
I can't do math. What is that? The 14-year anniversary?
Yes.
Yes. 14-year anniversary tomorrow.
Wow. Amazing. Like we'll talk about this in our story together, but I'm just dipping my toe into like this magical spiritual type place, you know? And I think you have definitely opened my eyes and ears to more based on our experience in Morocco and stuff. And I love that we're going to share the bigger story in the links in the podcast notes too.
Yes, yes.
What did you do with your work after that?
So that also did a complete change because I had a 17-year career in international affairs. I worked for the US government, I worked for NATO as a humanitarian advisor. Like I said, I was like a real type A. I lived a very, I was, I lived a very non spiritual life, if you
Mhm.
will. And so then 2009, this experience came out of nowhere. I did not expect it to. And when I came back, it was just, I just yearned to live my life entirely differently.
Mhm.
And so I wanted new work. I wanted new friends. I wanted new relationships. I wanted new everything that just felt aligned, a new diet, new drinking style, which was basically not drinking alcohol. And so it put me on this new aligned path that just feels so true to who I am. And I found coaching as well.
Mhm.
And from that, I found, where I am today doing spiritual mentorship.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go to Morocco? Like how did you get there?
So that's a good question, Angela, because I knew Susan Hyatt, who is our retreat leader since 2014. She was my coach when I
Mhm.
did life coach training for Martha Back. But I never was called to, I adore her and I adore her coaching, but I was never called to do one of her retreats because I just thought I'm a projector in my human design type. So we have like I need to be alone a lot of the day. I can't have really, really full days. And I just knew that her retreats were like an adrenaline rush from morning till night. And
Right.
I just said, this is not good for my energy.
Mhm.
But she announced it. I think she even said, hey guys, I'm thinking about a retreat to Morocco. I don't even think she had a sales page up. And my whole body said, yes,
Wow.
it's happening. It's on.
Mhm.
And I said to my intuition, well, I don't think this is going to be so great for my energy. I think I'm going to burn out and I'm not going to get enough alone time and all the things. And my higher self said, you're going. So that's kind of the story. How about you?
So yeah, Susan was my coach at the time she announced Morocco, I think. Yeah, so I was in her higher level mastermind, and so I love her. I've been following her for years, and then finally joined her coaching program. And she, before I even joined her coaching program, when I was like 1 year in, not even 1 year into my own coaching practice, like this is the story about Susan Hyatt. So when I was thinking of becoming a life coach, I wanted to know examples of successful life coaches. So I Googled, like it was like successful life coaches or blah, blah, blah. And Susan Hyatt showed up. Never heard of this woman in my life. And it
That's
was a
amazing.
yeah. And so it was like this picture in her story about how she started to say yes to her life and started leading retreats. And she had this beautiful flowing red dress on in like Italy or something. And I'm like,
I know that red dress.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started following her. And then like right after that, like 6 months later, she announced a retreat to Italy. And I was like, oh, how much? She's like, DM me. And I was like, well, how much is it? And she's like, it's $10,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
I'm
know.
like, I'm not there yet. Okay. But like someday I'm going to do this retreat. And she's like, okay. And then like a year later, in her Susan Hyatt voice.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then a year later, she announces the same retreat, like because she does it every year. And I was like, I'm in Susan Hyatt. And so I bought this Italy retreat a year in. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, and the retreat was supposed to be the following year. Well, the following year ended up being COVID. So the retreat got canceled. And then it was supposed to be the following year, and then it got canceled again. And so then it was finally 3 years later. I'm, ready to go on this retreat. And I go, and then she announces she's going to Morocco. And I'm like, am I really going to do 2 Susan Hyatt retreats in the same year?
Hell yeah.
And Morocco was on my list. It was on my top 5 travel destinations. And so, yeah. And anyway, so I thought about it, and then I ultimately said no. I wasn't going to do it. It was too much. Like, I was like, I can't go to Italy and then turn around a month later and go to Morocco. And then she changed her coaching program and she ended it. And so I had all this time and space and money open for the fall. And then I looked at her Morocco sales page again, and she added a hot air balloon ride on sunrise over the Atlas Mountains. I was like, gosh darn it, Susan Hyatt. So I told my husband, he's like, you should absolutely go. So anyway, I signed up and I went.
That's so amazing. I love that story.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, I don't know. Energetically, she's fun. And that's kind of how I make decisions. Like, where in the priority list is this kind of stuff? And like, if it meets several of the priorities that I have or dreams that I have, then it's a yes. And it met like many of them. So yeah.
What I loved about the experience, again, typically when I invest in something like a retreat, it's either going to be very spiritual or very business focused. So I'm going to be like in breakout rooms, creating a business marketing strategy for my business, or it's going to be like super, super spiritual kind of stuff going on. And so this was none of that. It was just, for me, it was just, it was travel. Yes, we did a little bit of coaching. She would ask us some questions like, hey, or she would give us like a challenge or an invitation, but it was so experiential. And you received so much from the experience.
Yes. Yeah. It was a great time. It's still a gift that keeps on giving, like I bought my Moroccan carpet. Let's talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So Allyson, on this retreat, like, first of all, you really remind me of my sister-in-law, Shannon, who I absolutely adore. And like, you guys kind of look the same, and your voices are the same, and like your mannerisms are the same. So I was just like instantly attracted to you.
Aw.
And so you offered little sessions.
Yeah. Like psychic sessions
for everybody there, just because you're nice. And so I'm like, okay. And like, you came over and you're like, ooh, I'm getting this hit about you. And then what was the hit? Do you remember?
What was the hit?
It was the hit that my husband and I were going to do something together.
That's like right. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it all comes back to me. Yes. Yeah. You guys were going to launch something together. Yeah.
I was like, what in the world? Like, it totally, I was like, what are you talking about? This is not even on the realm in my brain, like that my husband and I would ever create something like online together or whatever it was. And so I thought that was interesting. And then like, I told Pete about it and stuff. And and your husband's name's Pete too.
My husband's Pete.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Yeah. And so I just thought it was cool. Right. And like, I was like, yeah, like I kind of heard you a little bit there. I was like, what? Like, what?
And then the idea that came to you, and I think it was your husband. I was like, you were like, maybe better to say in your words, but I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. I would buy that so fast. Do you remember the idea?
Yeah. So it was like to help couples who are married travel independently.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can I just tell you, when I was in Morocco, my household was a burning dumpster fire because I do everything. And all of a sudden I was like, bye guys, I'll see you in a week. And my household crumbled because I needed your wisdom, Angela, on this.
Yeah, because you told me that it was the first time you left your daughter, who's 6. And I was like, Allyson, what?
Well, the first time I had left her since she was 18 months. I did because I had a mandatory, and the only reason I went is it was mandatory. I was getting Martha Beck's Master Life Coach training, and there was a mandatory retreat. So I left her for like 5 days when she was 18 months for that mandatory retreat. And that's the only 2 times in Morocco.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just like, what is going on? And you were texting your husband and like
Yeah.
all these things. You had to keep coordinating things when you're in Morocco. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Stop, Allyson. Stop. So, and I thought it was just so brilliant. You guys were like, you could do an app. I think an app is brilliant. And like, I could have like put in the app, okay, you pick up Freya from ballet at this time. Like all
Mhm.
the stuff that's in my brain, how do
Yeah,
you hand it over to someone in a way that's easy for them to digest?
yes,
We
yes.
had like 5 different calendars and I had sticky notes everywhere.
Oh
And
my
my
God.
husband's like, I'm just so confused.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think a part of it is too, is like, we don't even really keep calendars about that stuff. We just know like what is going on because we talk about it.
Yeah.
And then like there's a lot of communication leading up to things, and I've always like had the mindset of I'm not going to be the one that manages everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when I like took a break from not working when the kids were really like babies, I took a couple of years off. I was like, I am not going to hold all of this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I've
I,
always just kind of had that intention going through. So he's already like been used to taking care of stuff and like, being the lead on things and stuff like that. So it wasn't like there was this process that we created together and then and it was just kind of like who we were from the very beginning.
Angela, I'm telling you, this is a gold mine. I think so many women struggle with what
They do.
just came
Oh
naturally to
no.
you,
Yes.
you know, and that
Yes.
you and your husband together. I
Mhm.
mean, I think it just makes, yes, you could offer it on your own and it would sell, but like bringing your husband involved, like getting his perspective on it, I think it makes it more powerful.
Yeah. And I think it's evolved over time too. Like when the kids were really little, it was and we didn't have the money that we have now, with my work and stuff like that. So it looks a lot different now than it did then. But the foundations of it were like, you're able just because like we had like just because you're bringing in the cash and I'm not doesn't mean that I'm less than or I have to do all the work around the house or any of that stuff. So I was very vocal
Yeah. Yeah.
about
And I
and
have to, oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say, and from Morocco and from you being such an amazing example of what is possible, I now don't do any of the laundry in the household. I now go to the gym 4 nights a week, and my husband puts our daughter down, which I was doing it 7 days a week.
Mhm.
And I now, what's the third thing? I now have
Food.
somebody else cooking 2 nights a week. And I used to cook, like 6 nights a week, and we'd go out 1 night a week kind of thing. So I already feel so much more balanced and whole. And to be honest, my marriage is better than it's been. Like we're like in a really good place, like it's all just been this positive ripple effect.
Yes, that's so awesome. So yeah, so getting back to Morocco, you're sharing your struggles at home and like how you realize now that you're gone and you've extracted yourself from your day-to-day life that this is an issue,
Yeah.
right? And it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to go away. And
Yes.
mostly this isn't, I don't want to be slamming the men here. Mostly this is our shit
Yes.
that
Totally.
we have thoughts about what it would be, what it would mean, or what it would entail for us to do these things. It's not so much they're not willing to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Or they
yeah,
have resistance at the beginning, but you just have to you just have to be strong and say, "No, I'm
yeah,
not doing this anymore."
yeah, yeah.
So,
And you have to be willing for it to not be perfect.
yeah.
And the house might be a little bit messy and
Yep.
he might not do it exactly the way you do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And you have to work through that,
Yeah.
and just let it
Totally.
be their way. And that's okay because you get more freedom in
Yeah.
your life to have a life and it's not all revolved around, if that's what you want to be all revolved around the kids and the husband and all the things, that's awesome. But it doesn't have to be like that.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
So
yes, yes.
anyway, we were, having so much fun in Morocco, and then we went on this magic carpet exploration, and
Oh,
it was
yeah, 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 the
so
carpet.
fucking fun. So I was like, Allyson, I was like, can you come here over here and give me a hit? Are you getting a hit on this
Yeah, yeah.
carpet? Should I
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
this carpet? And the first carpet um we were at was such a magical place. Remember that? The
Ah,
tea
I loved
ceremony,
it.
like, and please admire the beauty of this art. And they would shake out these gorgeous freaking rugs in this huge like warehouse room, and just the whole
Beautiful.
experience is just so amazing.
So cool.
And so of course it just, and like it's sales and like this like ceremony of it, right? That's selling part of this experience. Like that's adding into what you think about the carpets, right?
Yeah, totally.
I'm working with a couple of the guys on a carpet that I was interested in. And then I asked Allyson to come over and like, let me know what you think. And you were like, I don't know. I'm just getting you should wait. There's something a little bit better, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive. I'm like, God damn it, Allyson. Like, I'm like, this is already like expensive. And so we waited. I put it on hold and I was like, and then we're like, if you keep thinking about it, we can come back to it. So I did I don't know that I was thinking about that particular rug, but I kept thinking about the rug and like going back to the place. And then I kept looking at all my pictures. I'm like, I think I like that one better. So I could sense that it wasn't like, I wasn't attached to specifically that rug, but I felt like I was still like really wanting it. And so, what happened?
So then it was our last day
Yeah.
of Morocco, and it was basically kind of a shopping day, but kind of our last chance to buy whatever we wanted to buy. And we were at a new carpet shop.
Oh, wait, but the story
Oh,
before that, remember when we were walking after lunch that day? And I was like, I keep thinking about the carpet, Allison.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
And
yep.
then I got those waves of
Oh
energy.
yeah,
Remember that? I was
yeah.
like, what is happening right? Every time I tell a story, it happens. It's so weird. So like I get these, they're like the chills, but it's way different than just like, ooh, that's oh, like that, like you get the chills because something's so inspiring or something. It's like different than that. So it's like this wave of chills that goes through my body. Anyway, I asked you again, I was like, what do you think about this carpet? And you're like, I'm getting a no. And you need like the same thing I just shared, like you need to wait. And then I just got these waves of these chills. And I was like, what is happening? And then it kept happening like 7 or 8 times. It just like went through my whole body. And like we couldn't talk about it then, but you're like, we'll talk about it later. And I'm like, what is happening? And so we talked about it later, and you're like, you said, your spirit guides want you to know that they're here and you can ask for their help on your own, and like they're here ready and waiting for you or something like that. And I was like, what? Anyway, it was really cool. And I was like, it really made me pay attention. That's all. It was just like, we're trying to get your attention right now.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I
Yeah. So
love
then
it.
we went back to the other carpet shop, which actually it wasn't really just a carpet shop. It was like this warehouse
Everything.
of
Yeah.
all like furniture and jewelry and all sorts of,
Caftans and
yeah, yeah. And so we go upstairs and they had carpets up there, and I was looking at them, and I called you over again, and then you're like, yes, I'm getting a big one on this. And then I bought it, and it's in my living room.
and the thing that shocked me was you asked me, so
Mhm.
little side story here, and I want to get to a really magical part of this carpet story is that before Morocco, I would only talk about my psychic abilities, my energy healing abilities, and very, very like minded crowds. So if
Mm.
I knew you were super spiritual, then I'd be all open with you. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm a business coach. I do
Ah.
business consulting. I
Mhm.
wouldn't even utter a word of it. It was my best kept secret. But Morocco is when I came out. And I
Wow.
said, I don't know these women. They could be super spiritual or totally not into it, but I'm just going to be me.
Mm.
And that's why I decided to offer the psychic readings,
Wow.
because I thought, let me just practice this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that was my big coming out party,
Mhm.
and everybody was people had varying levels of into spirituality or not, but everybody was just so loving to it, and like
Yeah,
open and amazing.
right.
So then at this carpet shop, I was trying to go into get an intuitive hit from the carpet seller going to his rock bottom price. I was trying to extract that. And so we got to the price, and I knew that was his rock bottom. And he
Mhm.
looked me in the eye and he said, "You're psychic." Yeah,
Oh my God, you never told me that.
I didn't. And I was,
No.
I like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was doing this for the other Angela. So you had already,
Oh,
sorry. You had
okay,
already
okay.
bought your carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was helping Angela barter her carpet, the other Angela on the trip. So I got to his box and so they agreed on it, right? And he looked me in the eye and he said, "You're psychic." And I was so shocked. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I could feel you in my head."
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
So it's like I was so, and it was so like special for me because I thought, my gosh, where you least expect anybody to be open to psychic abilities, there this guy is feeling me in his head. And trust me, I was in his head. I was trying to get his rock bottom price for my
Wow.
friend.
That's so interesting. So when you told me like the day before, maybe I can't remember the timing of it all, that I needed to wait, or you're getting messages to wait, there'd be something better, but it would be more expensive. So the price of my rug that I bought was 15 or $20 more than the original rug. Like that's how detailed it was. It was like, yeah, it wasn't a lot more expensive. It was just more expensive.
And didn't you say that you were really trying to get him down that last $20, but he just wouldn't budge?
He was like, it was like a $500 difference, and I was using our guide to help negotiate. And I just looked at him, I go, I'll buy it right now if you can do this. And then we like met in the middle, and it ended up
Okay, got it.
15 or $20 more than the other rug. And it was a freaking antique with two sides. Like
Oh my
it's a
gosh.
two-sided, beautiful 100-year-old carpet,
So,
it's really like having two rugs.
no, I know a thing or two about carpets because I spent a lot of time in the Middle East and South Asia, and I'm a little bit of a carpet collector. And finding high quality reversible rugs, they'll say it's reversible, and one side's beautiful, and the other side does not look like a carpet you would want to show anybody. That was the most beautiful, well restored, preserved, antique, double sided carpet I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah, so that's the story of the magic carpet in Morocco and how we met. And then after the end of the trip, I go, Allyson, I think it was after we came back. I was like, Allyson, I'm like, I think you need me, and I think I need you. So can we work together?
And
And so
I
we were,
never, yeah,
yeah,
and it's amazing. I always say no. We were doing exchange, and I usually don't, but I just got an overwhelming yes because you
Mhm.
were right. You were following your intuition, and your
Mhm.
intuition was correct.
Yeah. And now look, you're got more time in your calendar. You're not cooking as much. You're not doing your laundry.
I mean, it's amazing. And my
Yeah.
marriage is happier than it's been. It's not like, oh, now Pete's all pissed. My Pete is all pissed
Right.
off at me because he's doing more around the house. We're actually in a better place. That's like, wow. Didn't
Mhm.
expect that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And we let him have his own thoughts and experiences, right?
Man, I didn't want to let him do that, but I think the biggest thing you taught me is I didn't, and the thing is, like, like I would help myself. I would help a client with this so much, but I just couldn't. It was such a blind spot for myself, that
Mhm.
I was taking on his belief systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, actually, I don't believe that's not my belief system at all. So it's like you said,
Yeah.
let him have his belief system,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have my belief system. And if
Mhm.
they are totally different, that's okay.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely
I'm
fine.
not going to take on his belief system that I actually don't believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. So freeing.
So freeing. Oh my gosh. So this has been such an amazing combo. So Angela, what was like if you had to say your like biggest takeaway from Morocco,
Mm.
from the experience, what comes to you?
It's like the ceremony of it all. There was so much ceremony involved in that trip. Like I walked away wanting to sell my coaching and to share my message and my mission with like in a more passionate, artistic way. And because of that's what they approached everything from the coffee in the morning to lunches, dinners, their music, to carpets, to freaking oils, like all the things. Like there was this pride and attention and time that they put into that stuff instead of like rushing through their life, or rushing through things. And it was just a really good exposure to me about how to do that. I don't want to rush through stuff. Like it deserves to be paid attention to. So for
Yeah.
my work, that's what I came back with. I'm like, you guys should take notes. You should really pay attention to what I'm saying here because it could change your life, and I'm more intentional about it. And since then, I'm really excited about this next thing that I'm launching actually while we're recording it today, but the listener will already hear about it. By now, by the release date. But yeah, so more beauty, more intention, slowing down, just the colors, all of it. Like it was just, yeah, just opened my mind to being different.
I love that.
Yeah. What about you?
So mine was definitely the coming out party. Like, hey, I'm a psychic and a lot of other things. And I'm going to talk about that in any crowd, whether I know that they're open to that or not, because that's just the truth. And as part of that, when I left my old career in international affairs, I kind of left it all behind and I labeled it all bad. Like that's just wasn't me. I wasn't living an aligned experience. But Morocco made me realize that I was a badass bitch back then. And I loved that part of myself who could be haggling with carpet sellers. And we went to this Berber village, and I just was like in tears because I felt this old piece of myself like reintegrating a piece I never meant to lose. I never
Mm,
meant to lose her. And she was fierce and independent, and she loved to travel, but like adventure travel, like we were doing in Morocco, off the beaten path places. I mean, if I would have came up with a trip to Marrakesh, I wouldn't have done half the amazing things that we did. Like it would have just been like I would have gone to the bazaar. I would have done, you know what I mean? It would just
mhm.
wouldn't have been this experiential, five senses, luxury,
Right.
crazy, epic travel adventure. And I just got reunited with that girl that I left behind when I left all parts of me behind. And
Yeah.
I retrieved her. I never meant to reject her.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
And it made you see what you needed to change at home so you could do that more, right?
It, 100%. It's all related because
Mhm.
there's the new me, integrating the old me, and
Mhm.
then setting up my life so I can be on the path of the whole me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I love
Yay.
that you were comfortable to come out and talk about it in that group. And you probably knew and had a sense that Susan Hyatt has a little dose of her little spiritual woo in
She
it. And she
does.
attracts people that, she has tarot card readers come and all that kind of stuff, right? So you
Yeah.
know that they're pretty safe. But
Yes.
um I just wrote about this yesterday. Is like the shame that we have about anything, but mostly around alcohol, and for me in my work, and how releasing that shame, because there's nothing wrong with you if you overdrink. It's just a human condition that we have. We're wired to be addicted to things, and then alcohol is an addictive substance, and on, right? But if you let that go and you were proud of the fact that you're getting help and working on that, it opens up your life to experiencing so much more, just like it did when you dropped the shame of who you are, right? And like look at what your life looks like now because you did that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's
So good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get to go to Vietnam together next year.
Yes. So we both signed up for Susan Hyatt 2024 to Vietnam, and that was all you, Angela.
Oh my gosh. I know. I asked her to create a retreat for me.
She did.
I'm
And
like,
I
Susan
think
Hyatt, I'm like, I'll help you sell this. Okay, who wants to go to Vietnam? And like half the table raises their hand.
oh my gosh, that's going to be next level. So
I know.
we'll have to do a podcast episode
Yes.
next year to talk
Yes.
about, hey, this is what happened in Vietnam, everybody.
Yes. Yes, like exactly like a year from now, because we'll be back.
I love it. I love it. So, Angela, I always ask my guests to leave our listeners with an invitation. And an
Mm.
invitation is inviting them to go somewhere, or be someone, or some homework, or inviting in a new perspective or inspiration. So I'm wondering if you would leave our listeners with an invitation.
Hmm. What's coming up is an invitation to figure out what you want. And I don't think that we ask ourselves that question enough. But my invitation would be to look at your day-to-day life and do an inventory. Are you doing things that you want to do? Or are you doing things because you think you should do them? And to really start paying attention to what you want. And if you don't know what you want, you should make it your quest to find out.
That's a freaking awesome invitation.
Yeah.
I love it. I just have my little list here. I just made this and I feel like I time jumped to this present moment to get this invitation a couple hours ago because I literally just out of nowhere I wrote down some very specific business goals for the year. And for every goal or dream that I hit, I tied it to a very nice present for myself that I'm going to
Okay.
give myself
Yeah.
when I achieve these desires. And I feel like it was like really just writing down what I really want. I really want to do
Yeah.
this in my business. And when I do this business, I want to reward myself or treat myself with that. I don't
Yeah.
need the goal. I mean, I can treat myself all the time and
Right.
I know that, but it was just fun. It was a fun exercise to do.
Yeah. And I
So,
think when you don't even know what you want, but in your mind you're like, oh, I want to stop over drinking or I want to do these things, but you don't really acknowledge what it is that you actually want. Like that's just a side effect, the stopping drinking, or if you're overeating or whatever, like that's just something that can happen, right? But what is it that you actually want? Do you want more freedom? Do you want to have more creativity in your life? Do you want to go on more trips? Do you want to have better relationships? Like those are actual things that we more so than we want to stop over drinking or whatever, right? And to just highlight that, like your rewards. I want to do this, right? And naming that, writing it down helps it become more real. And then it's easier to go after.
exactly. I
Yeah.
love what you just said. It helps it feel more real. And that helps you get your energy behind your desires. And from a manifestation point of view, when your energy is behind your desires, that's when it appears into
Yes.
your experience.
Well, just like my list of wants was to go to Morocco and be on a hot air balloon ride, right? I knew that I wanted those things because one time I did an exercise. I'm like, what are like my top things I want to do in my life this year? And like those things were on that list. And so when the opportunity
Wow.
came, I knew that I wanted that because I took the time to understand my desires in my life, right? And so then I made it happen. But if you don't even know, like you don't make these decisions to make those things come real in your life.
I love that. I love that.
What
Angela,
is
you're,
your guiding? What is your little exit thing? What is your
oh,
question you like to ask people
I'm,
or call in?
I always ask the question. I never get asked. So I will use my gift of intuition and I'm going to really tune into our audiences. So I invite our audience, our listeners to I'm going to stay with your invitation and I'm going to add a layer to it.
Okay.
So as you're exploring what is it you want, I really invite you to sink into your body, take some deep breaths and get your desires. It's okay to have a few desires coming from your mind that says, I want the latest Chanel handbag. That's cool. Write that down. And then
Mm.
after you've written all the ones that are kind of coming from that you feel like they're coming from your head, it's totally fine. Take some deep breaths, sink into the body. Imagine you're connecting to your heart energy right at the center of your chest and just ask your heart, what is my heart really yearning for? What are my heart-led desires? And just be in the creative flow of what is coming up. It's going to feel like an emotion coming up from your heart space. That's your intuition talking to you, your higher self, and giving you the divine messages regarding what it is calling you to do or be.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yay! You're so welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, this was so fun. I'm sure they will get all sorts of delight. So just real quick, how can people follow you?
So the best way is AllysonScammell.com. Head over to my website, and I have a great gift going on at the moment. It's called 10 High Vibe Minutes, and it's the ultimate daily spiritual practice for all levels, people of all interests in spirituality. It's just about getting quiet, getting connecting to your heart, getting messages from your intuition and higher self. And so you can really tap into 10 high vibrational minutes a day, and that enables your energy to say higher vibration for the whole day. So it's really my best tips and tricks for creating a daily spiritual practice. And then you can catch my insights on my podcast, Soul Guide Radio.
I love it. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And Angela, I know that my listeners would love to hear more about you and connect to you. So how can my listeners connect?
Well, thank you for asking, Allyson. So you can listen to my podcast on any player. It's called Stop Over Drinking and Start Living. You can also get on my email list at angelamascenik.com. And right now I am launching a new monthly coaching program. It's called Alive AF. It will help you ignite your aliveness and stop numbing. So if you're interested in that, just go over to the website, and I'm sure there'll be a way for you to find out about it there or on the podcast.
Oh, I love the name of that, Alive AF. So those links will be in the show notes.
Yes.
Angela, I've loved this time with you.
It's been so awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that was such a good episode, right? Thank you so much, Allyson, for coming on and sharing and connecting. And I'm so happy that I said yes to a dream of mine and you said yes to a dream of yours, and it brought us together. So, so good. All right, friends, make sure you sign up for the Wine Free Workweek Challenge happening on April 3rd in the show notes, and I will talk to you next week. Love you all. Bye.